People always talking about reputation. Dun, 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 dun. I don't care about those other girls. Just be good to me. Oh, yes, just be good to me. All right, y'all. Today's episode is called Respect Your Reputation. Let's get it started on Chelsea's Live Line. Hello. Shout out to y'all for being here. Shout out to my big sis Latanya for being in the building early. I appreciate you for tuning in, sis, as well as my guy, Mr. Bobby Wright. Tomorrow. Wow, right on time. Look at you. Yes, always on time. Always. Hope y'all can hear me. Hope I'm sounding crystal clear for y'all tonight on Chelsea's Live Line. Make sure I hit that like button on your way in as we get started with tonight's episode. And shout out to my Aunt Tracy for being here. Thank you so much for your consistency. I really appreciate it. And my brother Chavis, greetings. I appreciate you for being here. May the Lord bless you as well. Bless all y'all in the chat tonight as y'all tune in. And my big sis Mona. Let's get this episode started as y'all come in to Chelsea's Live Line. Respect your reputation, right? We all have a reputation. And we got to get into the definition of what reputation means before I dissect what tonight's episode is really about. So let me get started with the word of the day, which is coming from Proverbs 22:1, which says the following. A good name is more desirable than great riches. Yes, a good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed or to have respect from others is better than silver or gold. Yes, it is. Amen to that. And some people in the Bible didn't even know what that meant, right? There's a story in Acts chapter 5 that I'm going to read real quick about Ananias and Sapphira. That was his wife. And let me show you this really quick. All right, here we go. Acts chapter 5, I'm in the NIV version real quick, which says, Now a man named Ananias, together with his wife Sapphira, also sold a piece of property. With his wife's not full knowledge, he kept back part of the money for himself, instead of giving it to God, right? But brought the rest and put it at the apostles' feet. Then Peter said, Ananias, how is it that Satan has so filled your heart that you have lied to the Holy Spirit and have kept for yourself some of the money you received for the land? Didn't it belong to you before it was sold? And after it was sold, wasn't the money at your disposal? What made you think of doing such a thing? You have not lied to just human beings, but to God. When Ananias heard this, he fell down and died, y'all. A great fear seized all who heard what had happened. Then some young men came forward, wrapped up his body, and carried him out to buried him. About 3 hours later, his wife came in, not knowing what had happened. Peter asked her, Tell me, is this the price you and Ananias got for the land? Yes, she said, that is the price. Peter said to her, How could you conspire to test the Spirit of the Lord? Listen, the feet of the men who buried your husband are at the door, and they will carry you out also. At that moment, she fell down at his feet and died. Then the young men came in and finding her dead, carried her out and buried her beside her husband. Great fear seized the whole church and all who had heard about such events, right? This is Acts chapter 5. As you can see here, they lied about their earnings, right? That's one thing. You can get the earnings and you can have the money. But if you're going to lie about the money, that's what God doesn't like. There are 6 things that God doesn't like, and we're going to get into that in just a bit. And make sure I hit that like button on your way in as we continue this discussion. But let's talk about respect. Put some respect on my name. Y'all heard it from Birdman himself. Shout out to Birdman. But he said, put some respect on my name on this Breakfast Club interview he had a long time ago. And see, the thing is that we expect other people to put respect on our name, but we need to put respect on our own names, okay? First and foremost. And that's where the reputation comes in. The reason I did this episode is because Bishop Charles Jenkins Jr. had visited my church this past weekend, and he was talking about trust. In order to have trust, you have to have a reputation first, a good one at that, because ain't nobody gonna trust somebody with a bad reputation. So what I'm gonna do first is get started with what reputation is, then I'm gonna play a short clip from his previous sermon. So what is reputation, y'all? According to Merriam-Webster, they say that reputation is the overall quality or character as seen or judged by people in general. People are judging us every day, whether we want them to or not. They are judging us. What are you doing? Are you doing good things behind the scenes and at the forefront, or are you doing whatever you want because you don't think that people can judge you? I'm tired of people saying about, oh, nobody can judge me but God. Only God can judge me. God knows my heart. We see the fruits and we judge according to that. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is, because I'm going to judge you because I want to be judged. I want to get better. And that's the only way we can do better, is if we know better from somebody who's going to show us what better looks like. So that's what Merriam-Webster says: overall quality or character as seen or judged by people in general. And the sad part about it, when it comes to reputation, it takes years to build a reputation, right? It takes years to build that reputation that we want, that positive one. But it can be ruined in seconds. And then it's going to take a whole lifetime to rebuild it. So that's why I say it's important to realize, how do we build that reputation today? How do we keep it going? Because we can say, I used to do this, I used to do that. But at some point in time, you got to talk about the now. Has-beens talk about the what I used to do. Has-nows talk about what I'm doing right now to keep up with what I used to do. You get what I'm saying? We can always live in the past if we want to, but we got to focus on the present as well. And shout out to those people who not only are doing good now, but they did good back in the day. Maybe they didn't do good back in the day, but they're doing it now. So it's like, don't use my past as a way to determine what my present's going to look like. That would be really biased, and that would be judging me, while you need to work on yourself. So that's why I say, shout out to those who have actually improved on their lives and haven't let that past hinder them for future successes. All right. And what I'm going to do is play this clip real quick from Bishop Charles Jenkins. Let's watch this real quick as he talks about what trust takes.
Trust. It means an assured reliance on someone's character, ability, strength, or truth. Watch this. That word trust, it means reliance based on previous experience. That word trust denotes that for me to trust you, I gotta have history with you. You have proven to me that you have character. I know who you are because I know what I've seen, and we shall know a tree by the fruit it bears. I can trust your ability because I've seen your work. Mr. Painter, you painted at my house before, and so I can trust you're going to do a good job this time because you did a good job last time. It literally means my ability to depend on someone based on my experience. And so when somebody says, trust me, you can't trust nobody you don't know. Because trust means I got history with you and you got a track record, and so I can depend on you today because I was with you yesterday and I've seen how you move. I know how you flow.
Yes, it's all about that history. That's what we have to pay attention to, because the history kind of paints the picture as to what I'm going to expect. For example, if I've been in a relationship with you for a couple months, this is kind of painting the picture in a way as to what I think the future is going to look like, right? That's why it takes time to get to know people. We can't just say, oh, I've known you for one day, now I know who you are. No, it takes time. It would be you'd be a fool to think that somebody at the beginning is going to be the same person at the end. You have to get to know them. And that's what he's saying, is that track record. If you were with me yesterday and you was rolling in the deep with me yesterday, hopefully you're going to be rolling in the deep with me tomorrow. Okay, that consistency. But I shout out to everybody that's tuning in right now. I appreciate y'all in the chat. Haven't y'all heard that saying from some people saying, listen to the message and not the messenger, right? Or do as I say and not as I do. Why can't I do as you do? Because as I am visual myself, so I pay attention to what people are doing. Not so what you're saying, but I pay attention to that visual aspect. And I think we all need to do that, because why not? So I don't want to hear like a pastor, for example, saying, do as I say, but not as I do. Because no, sir, you're not going to be leading me. And you're not leading your church in the right direction. I'm going to be talking about some examples. Y'all favorite pastors, Pastor Bryant and all these folks. I'll be talking about them in just a bit when it comes to this reputation that they got going on. But what the question I have for y'all is that, what's the reputation of the Christian community? I'm gonna get right into it. The Christian community, talking about your pastor, right? The people love him. The people love him. Pastor Jamal Bryant, okay, with his weed factories that are in progress, right? He's trying to bring people to the church by producing weed. Sir, if they don't come to see the biggest celebrity in the church, which is God, then there's no reason to try to lure these people into the church home. It doesn't make any sense to me, and somebody has to call it out. And that's why I'm going to be talking about it today. Y'all favorite pastor, Jamal Pookie Bryant. Ain't nobody claiming him. Period. Okay? This is what I'm saying. See, this is an example of bad reputation. And what he'll do is he'll try to misuse a certain verse that I'm going to bring up here today. He'll try to misuse the following. 1 Timothy 3:7. This verse says the following. He must also have a good reputation with outsiders, so that he will not fall into disgrace and into the devil's trap. That's the misuse of 1 Timothy 3:7. Saying, in other words, hey, I'm out here working with the outsiders, trying to bring them into the church, trying to create that connection, because just because I'm a pastor don't mean I don't know nothing about the worldly actions. But no, sir, you are conforming to the pattern of this world. Romans 12:1-2 tells us what time it is, and it's just not a good example for people just to be following people that are supposed to be leaders just for a name, just for a reputation at a nice church. Oh, I go to New Birth, blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, Pastor Brian. Yeah, you heard he bringing the weed in, right? Yeah, that's my pastor. And people will be so quick to claim these folks, and y'all really need to stop. 20 twin, like, for real, though. Come on now. It don't make any sense. So this is an example of the leadership in the Christian community. And you wonder why people are not trying to be Christians out here. The reason for it, because we got these hypocrites that are leading churches. Okay? Hypocrites that are still in the world. They're trying to balance the best of both worlds. And this is why I really want to talk to y'all real quick about good and bad reputation. Do you think you have a good reputation? And it all depends really on who's the person that's determining what that reputation is. Who's the person that's giving that opinion of you? Because in this world, you're going to either have good or bad reputation. You can have good reputation with the world, but then bad reputation with God. I'm going to say that again. You can have good reputation with the world and bad reputation with God, or vice versa. It doesn't matter which way you do it, but you got to pick which one you want. Who is going to give you that good reputation? Like, you could be out in the streets fitting in with everybody else, but God is like, nope, there's not a good track record. I don't see a good track record, and you won't inherit the kingdom that he has for you. So pick your good. That's the first thing. So you can conform to this world if you want to and try to fit in with what everybody else is talking about, but that means you're going to have a bad reputation with God, and he's going to be like, get away from me, evildoers. I never knew y'all, and you don't want that to happen to you. You really don't. Yes, he's leading people to destruction. I agree with you so much, sis, on that. It's really sad. And just because you have a pastor doesn't mean that he's doing his job, because there are things that a pastor's supposed to do that are supposed to set the standard for everybody else, right? For example, if a pastor isn't I can't even talk right now. If the pastor isn't wearing his wedding ring, for example, then all the other people in the church, all the other men talk, oh, I ain't gotta wear my ring because pastor ain't wearing his ring. That's an example of how a pastor could really lead his church to destruction. But back to it, when it comes to good and bad reputation, you can be good with this world and bad with God, or vice versa. And that's just the biggest thing you got to know when it comes to good and bad reputation, all right? And as we know it, it's about the circle that we keep, because sometimes we may have a bad reputation, but we don't see it as bad because the company that's around us thinks it's the norm. Think about the verse as we know it, 1 Corinthians, right? 15:33 says, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character. See, the problem is that maybe you had good character at one point in time, but you didn't recognize it as that because the people who were surrounded by you were saying that, oh, that's not good character. That's not good character. What you doing? What you doing that for? Who you trying to impress? Be yourself. And being yourself hasn't got you anywhere but at the same place you've been all this time. And this is why I say it's so important to recognize the circle that you're with. You have to recognize the people who you associate with, because you get so used to them. You get so comfortable being comfortable, and comfortable isn't going to produce any positive outcomes, okay? It's when you get uncomfortable, get out those environments, get away from them people, cut them off. It may hurt temporarily, but you'll have greater satisfaction knowing that you made the right decision at that point in your life. Before it's too late, many people regret the circles that they had. Many people regret the people that they've affiliated with, because those people didn't want to do nothing in life. We just go into the casinos every day. We just smoking it up, drinking it up, partying all the time. We just living our best lives. But that's not really living your best life. That's living best, but it's subjective, right? It all depends on what you consider to be best. That's why I say make sure your circle is legit. And this is why I've learned this year myself. In 2022, I've learned that the smaller circles are the better circles, okay? Quality over quantity any day for me. quality over quantity any day for me. I realized that because when I first started, not first started, but this year, when I came into this new year, I only had about 140 subscribers, and I've gained over 400 because of the fact that I've built a Christian community just that quick, a family, Chelsea's Liveline fam, just that quick. So I thank y'all so much for being here, being consistent with me, because before then I had people on here and it just wasn't, the word wasn't working for me because I was being hypocritical, right? I would tell people, don't return to the vomit, but I'm returning to the vomit myself. It was a reality check for me. And as soon as I read the word and I applied it to my life, that's when I got a return on my investment. And it constantly keeps returning for me. And I constantly keep getting blessings and favor only because I learned the word and I didn't ignore it after I read the word. So that's so important for us to realize that we got to be consistent with ourselves. We got to realign our circles all the time, not just at the beginning of the year and at the end of the year, but you got to do cleaning throughout the whole year to evaluate, are these people helping me grow? Or are they helping me shrink, right? Are they helping me receive blessings, or are they taking blessings away from me? Are they celebrating with me, or are they hating on the sidelines? That's so important. That's so important. So that's 1 Corinthians 15:33. So I don't want y'all to be like the people that say, listen to the message and not the messenger, because I don't want to be hypocritical. I don't want to be living this private life doing what I want to do. And then y'all see me on Chelsea's Live like, ooh, she preaching. I want to be preaching behind the scenes too. And then y'all just have to hear about it. If you don't, you don't. But God sees. God sees and hears all. Okay? So that's the Christian community. Hypocritical. Want to preach one thing, but is doing something totally different behind the scenes. Go look at my profiles. Go look on the internet, because you'll see something that aligns on all ends. It's all balanced over here because I'm working steadily to make sure I keep up the image that God will want me to be like, which is like him. That's first and foremost. Let me talk about the Christian community, the false Christian community, because I know y'all heard about the Derrick Jaxn thing. Derrick Jaxn is supposed to be a relationship guru, right? And he cheated on his wife multiple times. He's telling women, stay away from men like him, without mentioning that it's him. But these women are bowing down to him, falling at their knees, worshiping him like he's God. To this date, this man has divorced his wife because he was recently found out he was found in Florida with a woman, and it's a mess going on right now. He filed for divorce and finally posted the wife again saying they're getting a divorce, right? But he don't get backlash for that. And then he goes on the internet, posted on his Instagram story, talking about he's at church. See, I don't like when men play with women's heart. Men or women themselves are fornicating, they're committing adultery, they're doing all this stuff. Then you want to post up a post talking about you at church. Sir, stop playing with God. Stop playing with God. And another thing is that his ex-wife, Danae, currently filed for a divorce, so about to be his ex-wife, she went on Instagram a couple months ago talking about keep my name out y'all mouth. Keep my name and my husband's name out y'all mouth. And she's supposed to be a Christian, but what she's talking about in this video here is appalling. So watch this clip from a fake Christian, okay?
Every person speaking against the names Danae Jackson and Derrick Jaxn in mockery, accusations, slanders, and lies, may the mercies of God be withdrawn from you. May your husbands and wives become widows. Let your children become fatherless. Let your seed become vagabonds on the earth. Let the words of your mouth and your words of your hands be returned back to you. Let it go down your throat and choke you slowly until your days become few on the earth. The word of God says, touch not my anointed and do my prophets no harm. You've been warned. And if you want to know where that is at in the Bible, go to Psalm 109. Go to Psalm 35, go to Psalm 140, go to Psalm 141, and keep our names out of your mouth in the name of Jesus. Have a blessed day.
Okay. Talk about have a blessed day in the name of Jesus. See, Berean Babes, like, why is she pronouncing a curse on folks? Out of context. Exactly. See, people will take a verse and misuse it, abuse it. And it's a mess. Like, this is all lies. This woman is a mess. She's over here talking about put your hand down your throat and all this stuff. She's talking about in the name of Jesus. And then months later, here you go. The man cheated on you again, filed for divorce, basically said, forget you. Yes, he's an example of a prime example of a false prophet. Exactly. Talking about, I'm going to church, this and that. I love the Lord. I prayed. We prayed over this decision to get a divorce. And that's the first word he said. And I don't like that, because you don't be talking about God nowhere else in your videos, sir. But then you want to talk about when it's time for a divorce. We prayed over this. We got counseling. We did this and that. And they monetized over y'all pain, the woman's pain and everything, because Derrick Jaxn has a book with his wife called Healed Together that they created a little bit after the first affair last year. Monetizing over this. Then the next year, here you go. They couldn't fake the funk anymore. He out here living his best life. And then they're over here talking about, we prayed, we did this, we did that. I'm telling you, this stuff is false reality. I won't be listening to these people talking about they gurus of this, gurus of that. I'm not claiming none of it. Okay. And shout out to my sis Christina saying, out of context, wearing glasses and yet blind, out of order. Okay, let me hit the bars real quick for you. Okay, sis, here we go. Doesn't make any sense, to say the least. Like, wearing the glasses and yet still blind. And yes, he's a narcissistic dude. And that's an example of men that are claiming to be Christians, but he out here living his best life. Okay. She basically cursed her own marriage. Yes, she did. She definitely did do that. Okay. So that's an example of the Christian community talking about in the name of Jesus. And people are seeing this who are maybe atheists, whatever their religion may be. And they looking like, Christians act like this. I don't want to be a Christian. And this is why we have to look at the reputation of the Christian community. And we got to look at the reputation of the Black community. But before I even get into that, let's talk about gossiping, right? Because she could be like, oh, they gossiping on me and my husband's name. But look at 1 Peter 2:15. This is how she could have responded. It says, for it is God's will that by doing good, you should silence the ignorant talk of foolish people. It's God's will that by doing good, you should silence the ignorant talk of foolish people. And I'm learning this myself, because I'm one that likes to talk right quick, right back to folks who try to disrespect me. But I'm learning, should I say, I haven't learned fully yet, but I'm learning to just be quiet sometimes. Let these people ruin themselves, right? Because people are so quick to talk to you, especially behind the screen. They'll try to call you out like they know you. I don't even know you through these internet streets, but people want to call you out and talk smack about you, be in your comment section in a minute, but don't know nothing about you, right? They look at your glory, don't know your story type stuff. And I don't like it. I ain't about it. But I just had to learn myself to really tame my tongue, because I'm quick to respond back to ignorant folks. But that's what they want. And see, that's what I'm saying. She could have just been quiet. She didn't have to go out here acting a fool, doing all that voodoo that she's trying to do, talking about she a Christian. No, ma'am, don't rep us. I'm sorry, because we don't know you over here. But let me talk about hypocrisy and how it's been accepted in our communities, as you can see, because we got so many Derrick Jaxns. Derrick Jaxn got 1.3 million followers. I'm not one of them, though, because I learned as soon as he had cheated on his wife the first time, I unfollowed that man. And I unsubscribed to him on YouTube, all because you're not going to be talking about you're a dating guru, but you can't even sustain your own relationships, your own marriage, right? It's disrespectful. And as a woman, I don't like to see another woman getting disrespected. I just don't. But most of these women are just waiting in line to be Mrs. Derrick Jaxn. Go ahead, because this man has a problem with himself, and that's why he's going out here lusting after everything he sees, to say the least. Okay? I'm just going to read some of these comments. Just facts right there. Shout out to Big Smooth. I appreciate you, bro, for being here, and everybody else as well. Thank y'all for being in the chat. Hippolyta said the following. 2 Timothy 3:5 says, holding to a form of godliness, although they have denied his power. Avoid such people as these. Facts, okay? They will use and abuse you. Yes, yes, yes. It's a mess, to say the least. Next thing I'm going to get into is the reputation of the Black community. Because myself, being a Black woman, I pay attention to the reputation of our community. It's a mess. We don't have a community, to say the least. We don't have a community. Our reputation is shot because if you think back to the Willie Lynch letter, I don't know if it's real or not. Some people said it is. Some people say it's not. But I'm just going to say whatever is in it is truthful. I've talked about it on a previous episode, and I'm bringing it back up now. Willie Lynch was talking about the fact that, hey, you're going to have the mothers raising up sons who are going to be weak. Okay? They're going to be physically strong, but mentally weak. The women are going to be raising up women who are mentally strong, but physically weak. The backwards, right? The backwards logic there. Then you're going to have light-skinned slaves going to be separated from the dark-skinned slaves. You're going to have this colorism that we see out here. You see all this beef with women and men today. There's so much going on. That's why I don't focus just on relationships anymore with these topics that I pick, all because relationships is one thing, but if you don't have your mindset right, if you don't have your mindset, then you're not going to be able to get anything else right in life. You got to focus on you first, no matter what you're in. Even if you're in a relationship, you got to know who you are. You got to know what your reputation is by yourself as an individual person, because you came into the world by yourself and you're going to leave this world by yourself. Okay? So when it comes to the community, we have work to do. Holistically, people from the outside are looking at us like, what's going on? We got rappers talking smack about women. We got women rappers talking smack about men. This media is the most effective devil in America. I've said it before and I had to say it again. It's straight facts right there. They're ruining our communities. We need to figure out what we can do to be able to put the pieces of the puzzle back together, because nobody's trying to focus on that. We focusing on what's wrong with the other gender, why we can't get along. We got to figure out, instead of coming with all these stipulations, figure out what the source of the problem is. We got the biggest buying power, but we don't know how to maintain a basic budget. There's so many problems that we have that we need to be opening up a book instead of worrying about scrolling on Facebook. The issues that we have, no other communities are facing it to this extreme. And we are so focused on the outside appearance of everybody. I can't help you unless you look like this. I can't talk to you, communicate with you unless you look like that. I can't talk to you unless you got this much money in your hands and you got this certain automobile, or, all this stuff like this. All the superficial things that are ruining our community. We killing each other. We don't need the KKK anymore, because KKK ain't got to be on speed dial no more, because we're doing it ourselves. Gangs, and if you on this side of this city, then you don't have to worry about messing with the side over here, west side versus east side. We're doing further division than KKK had to do for us. This is the problem I have in our community. This is why people are looking at us like we ain't got to do nothing. We don't have to do nothing. The devil is working hard, and that's it. And we are our biggest, it's us versus us. It's us versus us. That's why our reputation is shot. But what I'm trying to do instead, I can focus on the Black community, I can focus on the Christian community, but we got to focus on the individual aspect. We got to focus on ourselves, because if our individual reputation isn't right, then nothing else is going to work. Think about the fact that one of us can be able to change the perspective, the stereotypes that others have about us. For example, when I used to be a co-op student back in high school, and there's stereotypes against Black women, thinking we're angry, thinking we're this, thinking we're that. But I try to negate some of those stereotypes by being professional, showing up on my job on time, being nice to everyone. And I actually negated that stereotype to the point where people were trying to meet my mom, like, who is your mother? Because we're pretty much surprised to see you as a Black young lady acting like this. I learned early on that I'm trying to be the outsider. I'm not trying to fit in with this because it's not working for me. I learned that professionalism is everything. I'm going to be the one needle in the haystack pretty much, because I want to stand out to show y'all that the whole community is not like this. Just like we have the angry Black woman stereotype, I'm letting you know I'm not going to fit into those norms that you try to fit me in this box, but I don't belong in it. And that's what we should be thinking about. Okay, all the stereotypes that are part of our community, what are we doing to negate those on a daily basis? Be nice to somebody no matter what. Just certain things we need to do. We need to really work on, to say the least. It's a lot of stuff we need to do. And see, another thing is that our community, we have the Nick Cannons, right? We have the Diddy's. Diddy know what Diddy is. Diddy needs to go ahead and just say it to the world. But Diddy has another baby on the way. I think it's his 7th child. See, this is what we're doing. This is another thing the Black community is doing. We're raising children up without their fathers. They're being Quaker oats out here, sowing their royal oats. Okay? No, this is a mess. They're sowing their royal oats out here, and they really don't have the time to be in these children's lives. Like I heard recently that Mariah Carey said Nick Cannon don't even be in his children's life like that, because for one, he don't have time with all these kids. I don't know what the number is now, but I think it's 11th baby. And see, Diddy just had this child, and he had it with this woman. I don't even know if he was in a relationship with the woman, because the woman just committed adultery. She was married, having this baby for Diddy. And you're ruining our communities. We have tremendous buying power, but on no land, we don't talk about nothing about ownership. Shout out to Oprah, though, because Oprah Winfrey Network, literally, she owns, okay? So shout out to her, because that's an example. She's talking about ownership. Tyler Perry talking about ownership as well, even though I don't really like a lot of the stuff he got going on in his videos, to say the least, all this stuff that's being promoted in his series right now. So that's a totally different story, but shout out to them for ownership. We own no land, no companies, no industries. We're just employees. We're just slaves making good money. Look at the NBA, for example. The National Basketball Association, NBA. They are pretty much just slaves with a high paycheck, because they have to move according to the organization's standards. They can't do what they want to do. They can't kneel without it being a problem or anything like that. They can't do certain things because they are under regulations of a owner. They are slaves to that particular owner, whoever owns the NBA. Same thing with the NFL and all these different organizations. They may be making these big bucks, but it's because of the sponsorship that they have from these companies, right? We don't own nothing. Own nothing. We buy liabilities instead of assets. It's a total flip mindset. All you got to do is open up a book. I got a whole bookshelf over here of books that I'll be reading because books are knowledge. Books are knowledge. Knowledge is power. But it's about not just having the knowledge, but what are you going to do? What are the action steps you're going to take to fulfill the needs in your life? Because we can talk about it all day. Talk is cheap. Talk is free over here. But at the same time, what are we doing to get on it? Because having that employee mindset only gets us so far, right? Like the cap is right here. What are we going to do to get above that? What are we going to do? They're going to rather gossip, drink, drug when they get together, rather build. Yes, right? Build. Oh, that's a foreign term. Ain't nobody got time for that. And shout out to Dre from Harrison Family Values. He was just talking about Pastor Jamal Bryant yesterday. So check that video out if you haven't already. But he says, in the land we do own, pastors are trying to grow the cannabis on. Ooh, yeah. Yeah. Talk about it. Crickets, straight up crickets, because that's what they're trying to do with it. And shout out to Terrell. I haven't seen you in a while, but thank you so much for being here, sir. I appreciate that. Hit that like button if y'all haven't so far, but we got a lot of work to do in the community. Forget the relationships because we don't have a sense of community. Everybody's hating on each other. I could see a black woman at the mall, at the gym, at a store, and she won't speak. I'll be ready to speak and everything. She'll walk past me like I was her enemy, like I stole her man from her or something. And I don't like that, how women are always, or have the tendency to always be on edge. Can I just say hi for the sake of saying hi? I'm not your competition, even though you may think I am. I'm so tired of us trying to compete against each other. I can see a black man at the store, the gym, the mall, and he'll speak to me, how you doing, right? Within a heartbeat. But it's the women that can't get along with each other. And I'm saying we got so much knowledge that we could be able to put together, but we worried about building on top of each other instead of building that foundation at the bottom so that we can build from there. But we're too busy trying to knock each other's blocks off. That's why we can't even get a steady foundation, because we can't build our community on sand. We cannot build our community on sand. We got to build it on that strong foundation, but ain't nobody trying to start it up because everybody want to be the CEO, CFO, CTO, CIO. Some of y'all need to go because y'all need to sit down and just let somebody else take over for a minute. Everybody can have a position in life, but everybody can't be the CEO at this moment. We got to start from somewhere. We need some janitors. We need some assistants. But everybody want to be at the top leading it. Y'all don't know how to lead. That's the problem. Submit to one another for a second. Okay? And shout out to Christina saying, I smile and say hi, and they look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, y'all not going to play with me today because I have the tendency to nod, and I can't even get a nod back, a hello, or this or that. And y'all want to be disrespectful for what? What did I do to y'all? We're not the adversaries here. Okay? Seriously, take a couple seats. Take several seats at that. Too many chiefs and not enough people executing. Too many chiefs and not enough people executing. Hustler and Muscular, shout out to you. He said, I've had more men say hi to me as I'm walking down the street than I have actual women. Facts. The reputation is ruined. It's because we focus so much on relationships. Can we focus on something else, like building our children up? Proverbs 22:6. Can we focus on like training up a child in the way they should go? So when they grow old, they will not depart. Because our children are ruined too. Children are throwing it back, twerking, doing all these dances on TikTok. I can't keep up. Like Mona had to get me hip the other day about these different dances going on because I'm like, what's this stuff? I don't keep up with it. And I feel like I'm just out of the loop. But I don't want to be in certain loops because they're really messing our kids up. And that's why I'm just thankful for the parents out there that are really investing in their kids. Shout out to Mona. She's putting her kids in STEM programs early on to make sure they have some foundation, some education. Because that's one thing they cannot take from us is our education. Okay? That's one thing they cannot take from us. So shout out to the parents that's actually providing for their children. Shout out to the parents that are actually doing the necessary steps to make sure their child will not be like them. They're working on creating that legacy, because we could talk about what we used to do, what we missed out on in our childhoods, but it's about sowing the seed to help our children be able to fill those gaps or what we did get the opportunity to be blessed with. right? Let's say I didn't have an IRA when I was a kid. So let me make sure my child has an IRA. Let me make sure that I'm giving them money for chores, but that money's going into an IRA so they can have some money, individual retirement account later on in life, so they can sit back. Let me make sure they have a insurance policy early on in life so they don't have to worry about situations happening to them and not having a way to provide for their family because we got to figure out GoFundMe's and whatnot. There are so many things we got to realign our mindset on so we can be a community together, helping each other out. What happened to the Black Wall Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma? We don't have that anymore because the dollar gets circulated in about 6 hours and then it's gone from our communities, where other communities take days to circulate a dollar. But our community, though, 6 hours. 6 hours before it leaves the community. That's what I'm saying. We don't have enough support to be able to do what we need to do in life. That's all I have to say. But whew, I see y'all in these comments. Yes, y'all. Thank y'all for being here so far. What I'm going to do next is talk about really like how to ruin your reputation, because that's what we did in the Black community. The single motherhood and all this stuff. We've ruined our community. We've sissified our sons, single mothers raising some of these men to be little boys, little girls, play sets and all. That we sissifying them. And I want to talk about how to ruin your reputation with God, because we are doing that. Not just in the world, we ruin our reputation from the outside perspective, but we're ruining it with God as well. And I'm going to talk to you how to ruin it, because this is what you don't want to do, but this is what we are doing. Okay. Proverbs 6:16-19 talks about the following. It says, there are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. Verse 17 says, haughty eyes. In other words, I'm looking at you like you nothing. I'm looking at you like you ain't me. You ain't me. Because I think I'm better than you. That's what haughty eyes mean. I'm proud. I'm arrogant. Yeah, I'm riding around in this Mercedes. I'm riding around in whatever vehicle I am. You can't touch this. I'm not giving you no dollar. I'm not giving you no money. I'm not donating to you because you're going to have to work just as hard as I did. That's somebody with haughty eyes looking at you like you ain't nothing just because of my appearance per se. A lying tongue. Y'all saw what happened in Acts chapter 5 when Ananias and his wife Sapphira lied about the fact that they had this money, storing some back because they were too selfish to give it to the prophet. Hands that shed innocent blood. I told you KKK don't have to do it anymore because, hey, they in OG gang, they in this gang, we beefing. I got him when I see him. It's on when I see him. Hands that shed innocent blood. Y'all in gangs, y'all beefing for what? A heart that devises wicked schemes. You got plans, you plotting on the enemies. Let these people be where they at. If they're not bothering you, stop worrying about trying to plan wicked schemes and try to be positive for a change. What about feet that are quick to rush into evil? Oh, I heard it's some beef, so let me go ahead and get in the midst of it because I love to be in the middle of something negative. What about a false witness who pours out lies? Always talking lies about you, but I told you before, don't even pay them no attention because God doesn't like it. God will handle them. God will handle them because he says, vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And what about that person who stirs up conflict in the community? I'm not about to do it. You're not going to find me out here trying to stir up conflict in the community. I'm going to call out the conflict. So to see if we can do better, what ways can we do it? And that's what I'm going to tell you. I told you how we can ruin the reputation. We did it. We always talking about the negative and the conflict in our community, but let's talk about the positive. And that's where I'm about to flip it real quick and talk about how to build your reputation. To me, how to build your reputation with God means doing the opposite of those 6 things you just saw, as well as being selfless. Take a minute and not think about what's in it for me. Ask yourself, let me get this right. Okay, instead of being selfish, be selfless, but ask yourself, what have you done for he lately? Yes. Ask yourself, what have you done for he lately? Shout out to Janet Jackson for that. But seriously, ask him. Ask what you've done for he lately. You know, what have you done for me lately? I had to do a quick remix on that. But in all actuality, what have you done for he lately? What have you done for God lately? Put one thing in the chat you done for God lately. Have you read your Bible? Have you blessed somebody who is in need? What have you done for he lately? That's a reality check for all of us. What have you done for him lately? I'm trying to get the word out right now to help y'all realize that we always got to be doing God's work because God put us on that wake up list today. Thank the Lord for that. God put us on that wake up list and we take that for granted every single day. But I thank the Lord for every day that he's blessed me that I've never seen before. Thank you, Lord. What have you done for God lately? I just want to know. And shout out to Chavis for the chat message where he said, I read this saying a while back. We went from chains and whips to chains and whips. Ooh, that is bars right there. Straight up. This generation is teaching Gen Z to be ratchet. It's so sad. But you got to ask God, what have you done for he? I mean, what have you done for he lately? Because God going to be asking you as soon as you get up to them gates, right? What have you done for me lately? And you be like, well, I did something way back when. Well, what's up? Christina said, respect is earned. You don't want to smile and say hi, but you want me to support your business? This is why I really can't support black businesses like that. I really do try to support because food be good, things of that nature. But the attitudes, for some reason, because I complain about my food or I tell you that the food isn't hot, the food doesn't taste like it should be tasted, it ain't seasoned like it should be seasoned, and then you get mad at me, and then I can't get my food corrected. You tell me, oh, you have to talk to a manager about this. It's just so much negativity surrounded by black businesses. That's another reason we can't succeed, because we got to put the attitudes away. Right, we'll treat the food critics with respect. They come in not looking like us. We'll treat them with respect, but we can't treat the regular people every day that's supporting you consistently for the past years with respect. You got to have some type of status. All right. So what have you done for him lately? Think about that. You ain't got to write it down in the chat, but think about what you've done for God lately. And what I want to do real quick is talk about the story of Joseph. Talk about the story of Joseph, which is in Genesis 37 through 50. I'll be talking more about the story of Joseph in a few weeks, but until then, I want to just talk about Joseph's reputation, right? He's a wonderful example of a godly Christian, as we know, and his brothers hated on him, but his father favored him. Jacob, or Israel, favored him. And pretty much what happened is that he became a slave because his brothers sold him to become a slave. He became a slave, and however, even though he was a slave, he still was blessed because God was with him throughout his slavery, right? God was with him throughout. And then eventually he got I can't even get the words out right now. Sorry, y'all. But he got promoted. That's the word I'm trying to get. He got promoted to become the head. Like, he was right there with Potiphar. You know what I'm saying? He's right there. And what happened was, from there, he made a good reputation out of himself because he was enslaved and whatnot. And he finally became like the head of a foreign country, right? What happened was Potiphar's wife found out, like, she saw that he was looking good, saw that Joseph was looking good. It was like, let me try to talk to him. But Joseph wasn't having it because he said, okay, I can have all this stuff in here, all these goods, but I can't have you. You know, I'm in charge of everything, but I'm not going to be in charge of you. I can't have you. That's one thing that's off the list. But Potiphar's wife going to try to set him up. See, going to try to set him up and say that he tried to sleep with her, knowing that was a lie, knowing that she was being thirsty. And as a result, he got enslaved. And at the same time, he was enslaved with Potiphar's cupbearer and Potiphar's baker. What happened was, eventually Joseph was able to get out of prison, all because Potiphar's cupbearer and his baker had dreams that only Joseph could interpret, because he gave those dreams to God, for God to interpret. And then finally, eventually, he was able to get out. Eventually he was. But what I'm saying is that girl almost ruined his reputation, all because she wanted to have him and couldn't. And there are so many men today who have ruined reputations because of women talking about, he raped me. Or there's a lot of women who have bad reputations as well because maybe they thought that their body would give them a life of luxury that they wanted. And I'm going to talk about those couple of examples in the Bible themselves. All right, so that was the story of Joseph really quick. And then what I want to talk about next is just some celebrity examples of good and bad reputation. So look at these images here and let's talk about it. Janet Jackson. What's the first thing? Put it in the chat. What's the first thing y'all think about when y'all see Janet? What's the first thing? Do y'all think about her career that she had with Jackson 5? Do y'all think about what? Let me know. What's the first thing y'all think about when y'all think of Janet and her reputation? Let me know in the chat. And make sure y'all hitting that like button, please, if you are learning or growing. I appreciate y'all so much for that. So Hustler Muscle said, legend in singing. Yes. Definitely. Shout out to Janet. She has a tour coming out. Together Again. I got my tickets already for Janet Jackson tour. Mona says she thinks about longevity. Jesus loves you. No comments, sir. Boss. I think about her career only. That's good. Yes, and rest in peace to our brother. Do y'all think about at all the Super Bowl? Did anybody think about the Super Bowl in the chat and how that happened X amount of years ago? But that seemed to be where her career kind of diminished in a way. I'm not saying it diminished completely, thank God, because obviously, you know, she's a living legend no matter what. She had longevity in the game. But at the same time, people, when they see Janet, they're thinking also about what happened, that incident that happened at the Super Bowl way back when Justin Timberlake showed off her chest. Yep, the wardrobe malfunction, exactly, back in 2004. Some people do think about that. Shout out to you, Christina, for not holding it over her head, because I don't like about the fact that they really criticized her like she did something wrong. Like she can't be born with a breast, and this man did that. He did the action. He did the action. I'm glad you don't think about that. But I'm saying so many people held that over her head for the longest. Like she's horrible. Ban her from here. Ban her from there. The children are watching. Like they ain't never seen a breast before though. That's what I don't like. The hypocrisy. But on the flip side, let's talk about, and then also real quick about Janet. She had an album that came out right after the Super Bowl incident, but it didn't blow up like it should have, all because of that incident. All because of that. And yeah, he can thank her for that. It made him a star. Talk about it. And on the flip side, here we go, Kim Kardashian. What's the first thing y'all think about when y'all see Kim Kardashian? Is it the show Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which I don't watch, but I just love to know what y'all think about when y'all see Kim Kardashian. Beauty queen, you know, all these positive words of affirmation for her, but y'all know how she came to be who she was. And let's call a spade a spade. Let's see y'all, them chats coming up. And then one thing Tracy says, I think she has stayed positive since that incident, talking about Janet, and hasn't responded the way they thought she would. Exactly. And when we think about Kim Kardashian, a bust down, Tatiana. Yep, the tape. Exactly. Lost. Y'all in these words, okay? But seriously, yeah, she for the streets. See, that tape though, she came out with that tape way back when with Ray J, and that's how she came to her fame. But no, she's a queen. She's this. She is a goddess. And all these words of affirmation for her, but y'all can't put respect on Janet's name. Okay, we don't hear nothing about Janet in these streets and who she been with, who this and that. Nope. She had her child in a marriage. Shout out to her. And, you know, just Kim Kardashian, a lot of people look up to her, though. They do. They look up to her children. They look up to that lifestyle and all the money they have. And let's talk about some other people as it relates to their reputations. Bill Cosby. Talk about Hello Friend. Or R. Kelly. Trapped in the closet. Okay, for real though. And I had to put Harvey on here as well because at the end of the day, if we talking about offenders, then we gonna talk about Harvey as well. I don't know too much about him, but let's just be real. And I'm just gonna put him on here as well. That's just what it is. But you see, Bill, do you think about the Cosby Show? Is that the first thing you think about when you think of Bill? Or what about Little Bill? Yeah, Hustler and Muscler said Bill Cosby was my favorite TV dad up until recent years. R. Kelly, constant allegations, and he needs therapy. Yeah, see, I liked Little Bill's show. I really did. And see, you know, Cosby and Kelly got rigged harder than Weinstein did. I love the Cosby Show. Yeah, yes. I like Little Bill. I grew up watching Little Bill, and I really enjoyed that show. And see, he had these allegations to the point where they were calling him Pill Cosby. Not Bill Cosby, but Pill Cosby. I know at one point in time Jay-Z was rapping about, you know, how is him or Pill Cosby supposed to help me, or Bill Cosby, whatever he had said, but he was talking about Bill Cosby and his legacy, because I'm saying, like, Bill Cosby built up this legacy for the Cosby Show, showed that black family, that example of black love, what it looked like. However, it quickly tore down when these allegations came out about him and that he had an outside child, and just all those things added up to his demise, really. You know, it's sad, but he built up a legacy. He tried to. And even R. Kelly, like back in the day, before I was really saved, I was listening to Trapped in the Closet, right? All chapters, however many there were, 42, 45, I don't know. I was listening to all the chapters of Trapped in the Closet. I was listening to that. Like, I think R. Kelly was a talented individual, and I don't think that talent will go away, but I'm saying he is a talented individual, but what he did cannot be put on the back burner. So many people want to separate the artist from the act, and I can't do that. I appreciate his artistry, but it starts way back when. The hints were way back when he was with Aaliyah, underage, and her parents. See, I'm not just going to blame on him. I'm saying the parents as well had something to do with this, and they need to be held accountable as well. It wasn't just him. If the parents allowed this for underage children, they should be just as responsible as he was, because they were in it for the money. They were in it for the money and not for the name. And see, when you think of Cosby name, you hear that last name when you talk about R. Kelly and whatnot, and you think about his legacy, is really shot, unfortunately, but that's just what it is. And Christina said, Kells and Cosby are trouble, but I can't take their genius from them. See, that's what I was going to say, too. That's one thing, is that their talent will always be with them. I definitely agree with that. Their talent will be with them. But at the end of the day, we still think about the fact, are we still bumping You Remind Me of My Jeep? Are you know what I'm saying? Are we still bumping all this stuff? Because at the end of the day, it's got to be, we got to tell the truth, and we got to live by those truths. So those are just other examples of bad reputations, right? I even want to talk a little bit more about bad reputations, giving y'all some examples in just a second about, Kwame, for example, right? I had an interview earlier this year, back in February, with Kwame Kilpatrick, who was a former mayor of Detroit, right? Kwame Kilpatrick, for those who don't know him. And I had an interview with him just talking about his journey from politician to pastor, because he's currently a pastor at Movemental Ministries TV. And shout out to you, Kwame, if you're watching. I just talked with you. I was watching your episodes yesterday in the chat, and we were interacting. So shout out to you and your wife, Leticia, and your family. And I just want to thank God for your transformation. Thank God for the fact that he really helped grow you while you were in jail for those years. He really allowed you to get to know him. And that's why I'm thankful for that, because some people, they may have gone to jail, may have had this past, but they're not really growing. So I just want to appreciate Kwame for that aspect of things, and just giving his life to Christ like he should have, and creating that relationship with him, because it's never too late. That's why I got to let y'all know. And he's an example of somebody who didn't let his past hold him back. And he talked about legacy in my previous episode. So what I'm going to do is play this clip from him where we were talking about legacy. And I asked him, what does he want his legacy to be? So let's watch this quick clip from my guy, Kwame Kilpatrick.
And I would like for my legacy to be the crescendo moment of the transformation. I love the fact that they got all this video about old Kwame, all the stuff that Kwame was in, and what people said about him, and B-roll footage of stuff. But I believe that the legacy is changing now, and it's going to be about the crescendo moment, because the testimony hasn't been written. Although papers around the country were writing about Kwame, it was only part of the testimony. And they absolutely didn't know that they were preparing me for an incredible story to come. And so I didn't know it. They didn't know it, but God knew it.
Yes. Shout out to Kwame for that episode. Definitely. I really enjoyed it. And I put the link in the chat from when we had this interview back in February of this year. But he just said he could have dwelled and looked at the fact they had all these tapes of him on B-roll trying to really go to his demise, but he stepped above that. He stepped above that and made sure that he didn't let that be his legacy. He wants to have a legacy of love, and he realized that God had more in store for him than he thought he had in store for himself. So shout out to y'all, shout out to Mona, shout out to BCV. I appreciate you for being here. And yeah, definitely hit him up, reach out to him, and he'll definitely show love, for sure. Like, that's one thing about him. He's a personal guy. I just reached out to him like, hey, can I do an interview with you? I would love to be able to highlight him. And that's what happened. And I'm thankful for it. So shout out to him. And I heard about R. Kelly dropping another album. Is that true? I heard about that, yes, because there was something about it, but they leaked the album about him. I don't think he meant to drop that or whatever, but they leaked it. And I think it's been removed off of all the streaming platforms at this point in time. And see, that's what I'm saying. The parents allow R. Kelly to interact with their kids. Yes. Character assassination. These celebs be initiated. Yes, they be initiated. They're not average people. I agree. 100%. Exactly. Yep, she said, I heard this new music by Kells is actually old and he didn't approve of it being released. Don't spoil your reputation, because you only got one reputation. But again, maybe you, like, for example, as a Christian, you're not going to be liked by everyone, and you shouldn't strive to be liked by everyone. One thing I've been noticing myself in my growth is that, hey, at one point in time, I see my followers go up, my subscribers go up and down, up and down. But I'm thankful for the fact that if you don't think that this word is for you, then remove yourself off of it. I give you the permission to do so right now. Remove yourself off this platform of mine, because I don't want to be having you listening to my stuff and you're not going to apply it to your life. Be about it. And if you're not about it, just go ahead and be about your biz. I'm trying to help people grow, both spiritually and mentally, because it's not going to be all about just relationships on here. It's about the mentality. Because again, if you don't have a set mind, if your mindset ain't set, then that's what we're working on right here to better yourself. But if you're going to come in thinking that somebody's judging you and that only God knows your heart, this is not the place for you. And I'm thankful for the community that's been staying with me, okay? The ebbs and flows, okay? We're going to struggle together, and that's what matters. I'm just going to say it. That's what it's gonna be, okay? Shout out to y'all for being here. Roger, Big Smooth, my guy BCV, just facts on that. Cure for the Soul Ministries, Christina, like y'all just here to learn. I'm here to learn from y'all because I'm just getting started with this. I'm just letting God get the words out of me so that we can all be learning from it. Okay, and yeah, the album was called I Admit It. And I admit right now that, like I said, y'all can go ahead and leave if y'all want to, if y'all ain't about that life. If y'all are, I appreciate y'all for staying here. And we just gonna be learning together. We're gonna be growing together because that's what a community is supposed to be doing, okay? When you hear something that triggers you, that means that obviously you have some room for growth, and that's what we're gonna be doing over here, growing spiritually and mentally. That's it. But again, be selfless. That's what I want to leave y'all with today. Be selfless because that's what the people in the world are not being selfish. They're just trying to figure out how they get to the top. They're being real selfish. They're trying to figure out how they can get to the top. You don't have to be like that. There's enough money for everybody because money's being printed as we speak. Okay, there's enough accolades for everybody. You can get yourself a trophy. Like, everybody can win together. That's all I gotta say. We can all win, but at the end of the day, it's about the reputation. I'd rather have a good reputation with God than a bad reputation with him. Just saying, I'd rather have a good reputation with God and a bad reputation with this world instead of the other way around. Because God is going to tell me at the end of the day that I've inherited that kingdom that he deserves, that I deserve to have. And this is the last verse I'm going to show for y'all real quick before I get off of here, which is this. It's Luke chapter 6, verse 22 through 23, which says the following. Blessed are you when people hate you, when they exclude you and insult you and reject your name as evil because of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, because great is your reward in heaven. For that is how their ancestors treated the prophets. So again, when people hate on you on this earth and you know you're doing God's will and you know you are following what he has said for you and you are living by your purpose, you're following that purpose and you're being diligent in your actions and what you're doing in life, then they will hate on you. It's fine in that case because they're not doing what you're doing. That's why they're mad. That's exactly why. But rejoice, praise the Lord, and sing songs of praise because you know that reward is going to be everlasting in eternity. Okay? Thank y'all so much for being here. I appreciate y'all. Stay in your lane because that's what I'm saying. Stay in your lane. If you stay in your lane, you don't have to worry about no traffic. You don't have to worry about nothing. Sometimes things may get a little slow. Things may get a little fast. But stop jumping from lane to lane because at the end of the day, you're going to end up right where you were at the beginning. Just stay there for a minute because you may think it's going faster on the left, may think it's going faster on the right. But if you stay in that lane for a second, it's going to get to a steady pace where you know that you're going to be smooth sailing, getting to your final destination. All right, y'all, hit that like button. Appreciate y'all so much for being here as always. God willing, I'll be here next week with my brothers in Christ as we talk about husbandhood next week. So I hope y'all ready for it. We're going to be talking about it because, the stuff I be hearing about marriages have me like, do I really want to be? But I know that I want to be because it's to edify God. I know that much. But it's just like what I be hearing nowadays about marriage got me like a little, I don't know. So I'm just trying to keep the faith. And that's why I want my brothers next week to come on, talk about husbandhood and tell me what it's really about to be in a marriage, a godly marriage at that. So we'll talk about it next week. Share it with your friends and your family. Until next time, stay blessed. And I will see y'all next time on Chelsea's Live Line. Let's get it, y'all.